This is the Queens Community Board 1 Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Committee. This is our Wednesday, April 23rd meeting, and we appreciate everybody that's attending. I'd like to quickly go through the committee attendance. I'd like to see if you're here. If you could give me a shout out, that would be great. Katie Ellman, are you here? Okay, no, perhaps she'll show up later. Shahanaz Hamde.
Good evening, Richard. Good evening, everyone.
Amy Howe, I know that she's excused today. Angie McCormick.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, Angie. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Good. Juliet
Hi, Abiab.
Yab. Okay, I got it. You're here.
Present. Yep.
Good. Maricela Santos. No. Phyllis Sharp. Para. And Mario Vergara.
Present.
Thank you. Is there anybody, any committee members that I missed?
Katie Ellman just joined. Sorry to be
okay.
late.
Hi, Katie. How you doing?
Jacqueline Diaz just joined.
It's an unsustainable model. There's not only
Okay, good. All right. All right, well, why don't we get started here? Okay, we have an interesting agenda today. Again, as I said, this is the opening of what we hope to be a wonderful season of in our parks and recreational facilities and with cultural events as it's warming up. We've just had warm weather for a couple of days. So let this meeting be one of our entrances into that wonderful time of year that we're all looking forward to. I'd like to start off the meeting by bringing up Alejandra Venegas from the Partnerships for Parks. She's going to explain to us a little bit of what Partnerships does, some of their relationships, upcoming projects, and Alejandra, take it away.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me here today. Just to give a bit of an overview of who PFP is, in case there are some on the call who are unfamiliar. We are a public and private program through New York City Parks Department and City Parks Foundation, which puts us in a very unique position to support our many community partners all throughout New York City. I work with community partners within Queens, a couple different community boards that includes community boards 1 through 4, 7, and 15. And we have 4 main programs in which we work with volunteer groups throughout the city. So the program that I work with is community engagement, and we work with like local grassroots groups to activate their green spaces through regular beautification and community events. And we also have our volunteer program that does more of like an episodic type program where they do projects with nonprofit groups, school groups, religious organizations who really just want to get outside once or twice a year. And they have a staff that's on site to kind of support that as opposed to community engagement. Our hope is that our groups become self-sufficient and grow a strong connection to the parks maintenance and operations staff and other folks within the agency. And then we have our corporate team, which is somewhat similar to volunteer, but they work with corporate groups, and there is a fee that they have to pay. I believe it is an amount per person, but I could be wrong. But if there are any corporate groups that are ever curious, we do have a team that will kind of walk them through the process. And it's similar to VP where they'll have somebody on site. And lastly, which I think is probably one of the more exciting things about PFP, especially in terms of the community partner side, is our technical assistance program. And this is where we provide support for our community partners in a different capacity. And this is mostly through our CPF side. And this is where we have like regular workshops to inform partners of the different things that are going on within parks itself, but also just some how-tos and ways to navigate some of the activities that our groups do on a regular basis. And our biggest thing is grants. So we do offer a small grant to applicants. It is usually at least once a year, but it seems like we are doing it on a bi-yearly basis. But it allows us an opportunity to fund our friends of groups or community partners that want to do some type of programmatic component, or even if it's maintenance related, we really have funded a long range of things, some of which are guarantees within the community board itself. I know one that comes to mind is Friends of Triborough OG, Access Oasis, that works out of the sitting area, and they use the grant funding that came from CPF to create the raised beds that are in the space. So if you haven't had a chance to see them, you should. They're pretty great. So it's a little bit about what we do. And in terms of active groups, Community Board 1 is definitely one of our most activated community boards. We have a total of 10 community partners, and I'll just list them out really quickly. So we have Friends of Whitey Ford Field, Hallett's Playground Alliance, Friends of Astoria Park, Friends of Rayamunda Park, Green Shores NYC, Friends of Ralph DeMarco Park, Friends of Triborough OG / Access Oasis, Friends of Astoria Skate Park, Astoria Park Alliance, and Girl Scout Troop 4418. So those are just the groups that we traditionally work with throughout the year. And a lot of the names that you heard are a bit like long-standing groups. We're always looking to activate more spaces. Most recently, actually, Tiffany Kaman's office had introduced me to a couple of folks who are hopefully interested in creating friends of groups in different parks. I'm not entirely sure where specifically. Ditmars was one that had come up, but I assume that maybe there might be another space as well. It is in the very beginning phases of planning. So I literally just sent an email to these folks today. But if anything changes or anything comes up, I'll definitely let you know. And hopefully we get some new groups and some new projects started. And then that kind of leads me to my next point in terms of upcoming events that we have. So right now, it's not as much as we usually have in Community Board 1, and that's really because what I assume is we have a 2 to 10 week application period. So those projects are likely to come a little bit later. But for right now, we do have a couple. So one specifically is with Friends of Triborough OG at the sitting area near Astoria Park, and they have a weekly project on Saturdays, and they're usually there from 12 to 4 p.m. So if you swing by, you see a group there, that's likely them. And then we have one that's happening at Hallett's Cove Playground on May 10th, and there they will be doing a small weeding and general cleanup project just in preparation of the upcoming spring season. And then we have another interesting one, and this one is with the Girl Scout troop that I had mentioned. They are looking to work towards receiving their bronze award. So they reached out to parks to see if we can kind of help help them achieve those community service hours. So they are going to be working at Hoyt Playground for 3 separate projects on May 10th, June 7th, and May 10th, June 7th, and June 21st. And there they're going to be doing a number of different things that was coordinated with myself and Eric and Laura, our park managers. And it's a variation of like mulching and painting, which includes like the lampposts, benches, and walls. So if you guys pass by there and see that it's a little bit more spruce stuff, that's because we had a group of 15-year-olds, young girls who are really passionate about the space. So we're super excited about that. But just in general, that's a bit of what we have going on this season so far. If anything changes, I'll definitely let you know. I know that you guys share some open projects that we have. So if there are any flyers or promotion material, I'll send them your way. But that's it for us.
Oh, okay, thanks. Before we start, I guess I'd like to ask if you could give an idea. Now, you guys are actually a part of the City Parks Foundation, is that correct? How's that structurally work? Just so that
Meaning
we understand.
what?
You're part of the foundation, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then the foundation also has other activities. I know that they run summer stage and they do other events like that also.
Yeah, so I would say the way you look at partnerships for parks is it's kind of like a little division or department within CPF. So CPF, I would say, acts as like a funder for PFP, and they help with PEI funding as well, which is our Parks Equity Initiative. So through CPF, we get a certain amount of discretionary funding that comes through for us to host like these creative events throughout Queens specifically and throughout the 5 boroughs. But yeah, I would say they act as a funder, but also they are kind of like our parent organization, if that makes sense.
So most of the funding is city initiated, either through the city council or through the
I
mayor.
would say half and half,
Mhm. Okay.
but I'm not an expert on that. But that's how I view it.
Good. And one last question for myself before we bring it out to the floor. One of the greatest initiatives that I think I've seen you do in the past is the Playground Associates, which I would hope that at some point that can be invigorated at some point. If you could describe what they do and maybe how it looks for the future, that would be great.
I don't know if I can necessarily speak to the future of Playground Associates, but from my experience, what I've seen is that they have staff that is designated to a specific site, and they are there to engage and activate the patrons. I am curious if Eric or Laura have any more information about it, because
Hi, yes.
Hey, this is Eric Getz. I'm the regional manager for Queens West, and it's really the program's really called now Kids in Motion. It is the Playground Associate program. They are recreation employees. They're assigned to certain playgrounds. They do recreational programming in those playgrounds, and we have not been advised yet of the locations. I saw Laura Nunez, who is your new park manager, jumping in, and maybe she has some more information.
Hi, hello everybody. My name is Laura Nunez. I most definitely, let me see this on, does my camera? Okay, great. So yeah, I know it goes in and out for some reason because I'm in my car, but one, I want to say thank you everybody for having me with you guys. I'm really happy to be a part of this team. Playground Associates, like you said, it is Kids in Motion. Ideally what it is, a lot of it is councilman funded. A lot of it also is it's becomes sometimes city funded as well, but it's more councilman funded. And then we have parks that are councilman parks where we put park staff there, and then other parks where we see that is much more need in the community. That's not really us. That's much more of a recreation department. If you wanted to speak to recreation, you can always invite them. I'm pretty sure they're more happy to join in. Oddly enough, I started in parks over 23 years ago, and that's exactly how I started my job. I was one of those PAs in the park, how you just called it. I love the program. The program is literally to engage the children in, do activities with the kids. They should have a schedule posted. They should know simple things from having a balance between arts and crafts, having even sports involved, and also making sure that everybody's engaged no matter what their abilities are. We're really big on that to make sure we promote everybody's abilities and make sure everybody could participate. There's a lot of new staff that sometimes come in. They get a lot of training before they go in. A lot of it is just basically making sure that the community appreciates where they're at, where they're living, and has outlets to not, if they do not be able to afford summer camp, they still have an outlet to still come out and enjoy where they live at.
That's great. I know that it's a very well thought of program, and it's good I know one restriction I remembered was that it had to be in a park that had some sort of comfort.
Bathroom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Had to
Yep.
be- so that is a bit of a restriction, but
It is. That's really important for the program only because they stay there for the entire 8 hours. They do not go from park to park. They have to stay on site. And unfortunately, because of that, once we place them there, they need to be able to obviously wash their hands, use the bathroom throughout the day. So that's the key part to where we do place them. That is true.
Good. Laura, what I'd like to do is bring you back a little later and I'd love to talk to you some more. I'd like to open the
Absolutely.
floor right now for anybody that has any questions regarding partnerships for parks. If people want to put their hands up, that would be, I can check to see. Does anybody have any questions? Please just raise your hands. Yes, Evie.
Hello. Yeah, I had a quick question. Have you ever encountered a Friends of Rainy Park group?
I haven't personally. They are in our database, which I've seen. The former coordinator, her name was Sarah Baral. I know she had planned a couple projects with them, but since I've come on board, I haven't spoken with them. I assume this is because when I came on, the capital project had just started. So the way that we define active group is if they've done some type of engagement through our It's My Park traditional campaign within the last year or two. Because we haven't seen an application come through for that park specifically, which assuming it is because of the capital project, they are inactive. But I'm hoping that now that it's going to be opened, I think sometime soon, we can reactivate that group if there are community members that are interested.
Thank you.
Thank you. Katie.
I can actually answer that question, Evie. So the Friends of Rainy Park group grew out of Partnerships for Parks Catalyst Project, which was on the Western Queens waterfront. It started in 2005 and finished in 2008. And that brought together the waterfront park groups. Friends of Queensbridge, the LIC Boathouse, the Story Park Alliance grew out of that. Rainy Park group grew out of that. And that group is dormant. And before Sarah Baral, there was even another outreach coordinator whose name escapes me right now, who tried to engage another set of volunteers that wound up moving away. So Green Shores, which is the group that I'm a part of, is actually primed and wants to be able to begin programming there when Rainy reopens. And we did a waterfront or a visioning for that park that then helped to inform the Parks Department's public session that they held. So we hope to be able to work with partnerships and the Parks Department on bringing programming there and activating the park. And I mean, we're really excited and hope that it opens sooner than later. And I will speak from personal experience of having CPF and their technical assistance help our organization and me personally learn how to lead a volunteer parks group and to be informed as much as possible about how to get things done. And CPF is also a fiscal sponsor for groups, a fiscal sponsor for our group. And nothing's perfect, but I mostly have amazing things to say about it. So you can ask me personally if you want more information, and Alejandra is, an amazing resource as well. Thank you.
Good. By the way, Alejandra and whoever else is presenting here, if you'd like to put your contact information in the chat, so people, if they want to reach out to you, I think that would be a great idea. Any other questions from anybody else? Okay. All right, good. Well, listen, I think that you guys are really an important part of the fabric of this community, and I look forward to continue to work with you. The board does, and again, we look forward to a great active summer. So Alejandra, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you. And as always, if you guys have any questions, any interest in hosting any events or projects, please let me know. I'm dropping my info in the chat now. Thank you.
Okay, great, thanks. I'd like to, in new business section, I'd like to actually bring up again Laura Nunez, our new parks manager, if she can give us a few ideas and a little bit of her history and, you know, what her priorities will be. The park managers are extremely important. They set a tone for the whole community, and you know, we really appreciate all the work they do. So, Laura, if you could come back up, that would be great. Particularly, and if you've got a picture, that's great too.
I keep trying to put my camera on and it takes it off because it's connected to my car and I had to pull over. But just in case, in the meantime, you could see me for a little bit, but you guys will most definitely be able to meet me very shortly. I just started on Monday officially with you guys.
Some applause. Here we go.
You said what?
We have a little applause.
Oh, yay. Thank you guys. Thank you. I've been with parks for about 22 and a half years. I started in recreation. Ideally, you see it went off. Sorry about that. But ideally, that's exactly why I knew so much about recreation. I'm a big city girl. I grew up in Manhattan in the Lower East Side. I went to BMCC, then City College, and been in parks since I was 17 years old, pretty much. And I love parks. I'm not going to lie. I thought I was going to leave. I studied to be a social worker and realized, oh my God, I actually love doing this better than what I was doing. And I like helping people as much as I can. That's naturally in my soul. I was in recreation for 20 years and the last, I would say 19, but the last 3 years has been now in M&O. And M&O, when I switched over, I came directly to Queens. In Queens, I've been in the garages and the storehouse and small equipment. So I dealt with a lot of budgeting, taking care of all the equipment that goes outside to the districts to make sure they have the equipment they need, making sure it's serviced, all the vehicles they need to make sure they could service the grass and things like that, and the vehicles they need to drive. So I was much more on the outer part of being in the district. This is officially my first time in the district. So I am extremely excited to be in the district. And out of everybody, I get to learn from Eric Getz, which is one of the best regionals we have, the most knowledgeable regionals we have. So to be shadowing under him, I'm hoping like this will be a really big conclusion to my career where I could really learn everything about parks. So it's going to take me some time to learn a little bit. I'm very helpful. I will always answer calls as much as I can, emails as much as I can. But a lot of it is about me learning and seeing what the community needs. I don't want to say that I have goals just yet because I need to learn what the goals are for the community. I have District 1 and 2, as you're pretty much aware, but I really want to be engaged with everybody, understand what it is that you expect from me so I can make that my goal. My goals is really to make everybody happy and make sure everybody gets to enjoy their park. You know, I grew up in the city, like I said, and my backyard has always been a parks, you know, and I want to make sure that overall I'm here to service everybody. So my goals honestly will be your goals.
Yeah, very good, very good. Okay, we welcome you again. As we said, we have quite a history here of some great parks managers in the past, and this area has seen in particular great capital improvements. Almost all of our parks have been updated, and we really appreciate that. Right now, there are occasionally operational issues that we run into, but you know, with you advocating for us and for the community, I think that I'm looking forward to, you know, everything running as smoothly as possible. So given that, does anybody have any questions for Laura at this point? No hands are up. Okay. How about then you really have a clean slate. But
good luck. Thanks, guys.
I do have a couple of things that have come up though that have been brought to our attention. And a couple of and if you don't know the answer, please, that's absolutely no problem at all. So, because you're just starting. But we would like to get some sort of an update on Rainy Park and Socrates Parks. They're both, one is undergoing renovations now, and one has some renovations coming up. So if you have that information, that would be great.
Absolutely. I have some information because I did a little bit of homework and I spoke to everybody in the office, and I also speak to Eric a lot. If I'm missing anything, Eric will always jump in and kind of piggyback behind what I'm saying. But for sure, for Socrates Park, we know that they're under procurement right now. They're looking, expecting date right now will be to start their actual construction be 2026. The delay is because the delay of procurement delays usually take about an average about 6 months for it to occur, which is why it's going to take a little bit longer. Other than that, there's not really much to kind of say because they really are in procurement, and then so they give us kind of an update in the procurement and what they're doing. We really don't have too much to say unless Eric want to jump in and he knows something else. Now I can move.
Yeah, I do want to jump in. Laura's got the time frame down, but I also want to add that there is usually a moratorium in place in work in the water between January and May. So, it's the procurement and also the moratorium. So it's a combination, and that's why it's, the project is not going to start till 2026.
Okay, great, thanks. And then, of course, Rainy Park, which has been under renovation for an extended period of time.
Okay, so Rainy Park, we're doing great, actually. We submitted a notice of termination to close the DEP stormwater construction permit. We're just waiting for DEP to inspect and then approve it, and then we'll be open. So we're really kind of just waiting on DEP. So we're doing really great with that.
Okay, good. Okay, so DEP, that's great. That's good to know. I know that Florence has been in touch with DEP, our district manager. I know, and then she's working to help us out and expedite this also. So we appreciate that. Good. Okay, great. Also, there's a couple other little things I want to bring up, which has come up. One of them is actually more of a technical issue, and it's something that we'd like to see addressed. If you go to the Parks Department website and you look for Hallett's Point Playground, it actually says that it's Hallett's Playground B, not Hallett's Point Playground, which is what it's been known as in a while. So we would appreciate it if you could look into possibly looking to change the official name so that it doesn't get mixed up with the Hallett's Cove Playground.
Yeah, it's basically Hallett. The whole area is considered Hallett's Cove. So so they did A and B playgrounds.
Right.
So the A playground is on Vernon, and then the B playground is in the back. But we can see if we can make that change, though.
Yeah, everybody, even the commissioner, everybody refers to it as Hallett's Point Playground. So it would be great for it. If people want to look it up, they'll have a better idea. So
we'll see what we can do on that.
Oh, great. That would be great. Okay, does anybody else have any other questions, please, for, oh, yes, Evie.
Yeah, I just about Rainy Park. I know the holdup is DEP. Is there an estimated time frame as to when they're gonna sign off or do whatever it is that they need to do?
Unfortunately, we do not have a time frame right now. But once we do, we'll get back in touch with the community board.
Is there anything that we could do to kind of advocate for them to
expedite,
like maybe send them a letter or something like that? Anything that
Well,
you might suggest?
I think Richard mentioned that Florence was doing some follow-up with DEP, and our capital projects is also doing follow-up with DEP also.
Evie, I think that it can't hurt, though, if we put out a letter from the committee and for the board. So I think that might be a good thing to do. It's not going to hurt. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Richard, I have a question. It's Quinella.
yeah.
How you doing?
Oh, yeah, good.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me put my camera on. I looked on the parks website yesterday for Astoria Park, and I saw a poll to try to rename Astoria Park.
What?
Why? So, they have Hellgate Park, Two Bridge Park, Aquatic Park, and something I created myself, and then none of the above is the best name. So I chose none of the above is the best name. Astoria Park is the best name. But yeah, just who came up with that idea to rename Astoria Park?
I have never heard of that. I would be interested. That's on the parks website?
Yeah, it's on the park website. When you look up Astoria Park, you see it at the bottom, and it has a poll. They're taking a poll on renaming the park. Or I don't know, maybe this is a fun thing, but it's actually taking a vote.
Eric or Laura, do you have any information on that?
No information at all on that at all.
I
It
think
might be just one of these surveys that the park's website does every once in a while, but I have not heard of anything about renaming Astoria Park.
it's funny. We actually had a request a number of years ago when some people advocating upon the death of Tony Bennett actually asked that we rename the park the Tony Bennett Park, which of course did not fly at all. I think that people are very, very tied to the Astoria Park name, and I would find it very unsettling if they tried to change it. If you could find out more about it, that would be, we'd really appreciate it. Please let us know exactly what's going on. If you could do that, that would be
We
great.
can do that, yes.
Please do. Okay.
I put the link in the chat, so if you go to that link and just go to the bottom, you'll see the poll. Thanks, Quinella. That's really, it is strange.
Yes.
You're welcome.
And that they didn't come to the community board about it either. That's even more strange. So, and then it seems like the parks management doesn't know about it. Okay. Anyway, okay. So anything else that anybody has? Okay, well, make sure you put all your information in the chat. Again, we're looking forward to a great upcoming season. And Laura, good luck from all of us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Alejandro, the same thing. Good luck. Have a great season.
Thank you.
And Eric, thank you so much for joining us. I understand you're on vacation and you joined.
That is correct.
Yeah, well, then that's really, really great. Thank you so much. Abby, do you have another question?
Yeah, I just had a question for either Laura or Eric. Not that I want to keep Eric away from his vacation, but I heard a presentation at the borough board meeting at Queensborough Hall just about Parks's new approach to tree care. So I'm wondering, and I heard they're focusing on CB1 right now. So I'm just wondering if at some point we could kind of get more information about that, because it seems like it's a very different approach to the way things are done now. If you want to request a street tree, schedules, maintenance, all that, it's going to be drastically changed. So I was just curious about that.
Yeah, it's called the Neighborhood Tree Planting Program. And instead of like individual requests coming in, it sounds like they're going to try to do like a 9-year cycle on tree planting, but there are still ways of ordering a tree on a separate basis, but we can get the community board more information on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And maybe at some point we would like to invite forestry up to further discuss that. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, it would be more our street tree planting division more than forestry, but I can put a bug in their ear that they, about the next, your next Parks Committee meeting is in May, and maybe they can come in May.
Actually, it'd be in June, so.
Well, I can see if they can come to the June meeting.
Okay, that would be great. All right. Thank you, Evie. I almost forgot that, so I appreciate you catching it.
It's a big change, and I know a lot of people care about street trees.
Yeah, and the pruning, waiting 9 years to prune your tree could be a little difficult.
And since now they're doing
that's
it with,
different. That's separate, Richard. It is tree planting, and then the street grid tree pruning, I believe, is still a 7-year cycle for that.
Okay.
So it's two separate. One is tree planting, And then there's another process for tree pruning.
Mhm. Okay. By the way, one other quick question. What are I forgot to ask this also, the pool. Is there any information as to opening and closing dates? Is there anything new going on in the pool this year? Anything we should know about? Will they be having the classes for seniors and all that?
We don't know the programming yet, but the pool season goes from June 27th to September 7th.
Okay.
And we don't know, I do not know the programming yet for the pool. But again, I can put that on my list for homework too, and get back to the community board on that.
Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, thanks so much. Okay, so next I'd like to go over something that's one of the most important responsibilities of a community board, and that is the budget process. When we establish a list of budget priorities, both in the expense and capital budget, it's done in the fall, but we have to start the preparatory work now. This is going to be the way we've worked it within the Parks Department or Parks Committee is that we usually submit a list of our top 10 capital requests and expense requests to the Budget Committee, who then works to integrate it in with the other asks of all the other committees. And then that's all submitted. And for those who are not aware, this information is used by all the city agencies and elected officials to help determine, their budget and requests for our entire district. So this is not just a parks issue, it's for DOT, it's for sanitation, it's for every agency. So this is a very, very important responsibility that we have. You need to establish the priorities so that the community make sure that funding goes where it needs to be. I will mention one thing though. This is I really hope that we get better participation this year. We did a lot of work to establishing the various lists and information that we got to all the Parks Committee members last year. But out of all the committee members, only 2 responded. Angie was one of them, and Juliet was the other, but we didn't hear anything from anybody else. So I really, really do not want to hear a repeat of that. One of the reasons that when we sent our final list of requests to the Budget Committee, there were a bunch of changes done to it by that committee, but frankly, I did not pursue it because since we didn't have a majority of our members giving input on this, I didn't think it was appropriate for us to go out there and insist on them not changing what we had established. But I hope this year that everybody participates. All we ask is that you will be getting a list of different capital and expense items that are existing now. We're going to ask you at that point to list your top 10 in each. We use a numerical formula then to establish a priority on each of them with everybody's number 1 item would be getting 10 points, and then the second one would be getting 9 points on down the line. Once we figured everything out, we do have a list that we can establish and send in. So I truly, truly hope that everybody participates this year. It's one of your main responsibilities for being on this community board. So again, we hope that you do that. Does anybody have any questions now as to the budget process and what we do? I'd like to go over this if possible so that you have an idea of what's coming up. And Evie, if you could chime in and give us an idea of what the calendar looks like, what we're planning on doing for this year, that would be great also.
Well, in September, we'll have a public hearing, so where we'll take comments from the public. We'll also send out a survey through our email list, try and get input from members of the public through that way as well in terms of what they'd want, not just in terms of parks, but just all the different kind of needs that we have as a community. I think for you as a committee, like Richard said, it is to kind of look at what was on the list last year, but also go out there and talk to people. I think that's really important. So there's things that we might, think of, but other people have ideas as well. So there's lots of different groups, as you heard here in Astoria, which, Alejandra kind of talked about, very active groups here as well. If you know any folks, talk to them. Richard talked to a lot of people last year to see what their needs were. So I think for those of you who are on the committee or on the board, if you care about parks or you're on this committee, is to make an effort to find out what are the needs that are out there as well, and see what new ideas might come up to the surface. So it's, obviously it's useful to see what we submitted last year. You can find that on our website. Also,
We could be getting something from the budget committee. They actually will weed out the old one, and they will actually give each committee what the prior requests were from the previous.
Yeah, but you can even start looking at what was there, last year. We'll send out like new information as well. But if you wanted, especially if you're a new board member, just to kind of go and look at what our requests were, I think that's that can be really useful. But again, some new ideas came up, last year as well. Through the conversations that Richard and I think other people had as well. But yeah, it is one of our responsibilities, right? And so that information gets fed to the borough president, and that goes into his, his submission as well. So your feedback that you give in, the work that you do, the information that you gather from the community is really important too.
Yes, and each of you are on this board primarily because you do represent a certain part of the community. So again, if you go, and as Evie said, if you go out there and you mine for information within your contacts, that's very, very important. So we do hope that everybody can participate this year. I plan on working on trying to put together some information over the summer so that starting in during the summer, even in August or something like that, even before we start sessions again, you might have some information to work off of. Okay, so that is important. That's basically most of the information that I have to discuss on the agenda for today. Is there anything that anybody wants to bring up now regarding parks, recreation, and culture? As you know, we're also involved in the cultural side also. Anything that you see happening, any suggestions that you have, please let us know. Anything from anybody? No?
Oops, sorry. Shakespeare in Astoria Park?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Or something like that, that'd be nice.
That's excellent. Good. Yep. I know that they have similar things to that going on in Socrates Park. They've had the Metropolitan Opera there. They've got an upcoming event with Martha Graham at Noguchi. So there are certain things going on in the area itself that I know that can be really exciting. So we think that this is an up and coming area, that the whole waterfront area itself. We look forward to it really taking its place as one of the primary destinations, in the city, for cultural and recreation. So we're looking forward to that. Anything else?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, Richard. Okay, are you planning any like outreach with different neighborhoods? Like if you can come up with like a plan, or do you have that, or a date or something that people can help you talk to the community about different things that's going on, and if they have any ideas of what their parks need, and just to help with the budgeting?
I mean, do specific events in each neighborhood. Well, we do have the public hearing that comes on in September when it is for outreach to the communities. Okay.
Okay.
Normally, the outreach is, as she said, I mean, I used to chair this committee a lot 10 years ago, and I used to spend a lot of time just going to every civic group, every kind of representative group I could find, and ask them what their priorities were. Then I would take that information and put it in together our list. And it's the same thing. That's what we were saying before. Each of you does outreach to the groups you represent or your geographic area. We can come up with a really extensive list, so, and then again, let people know about the public hearing too, once it's announced, the specific date. But that's very important also. Okay, any other questions? Okay, well, thank you everybody for participating today. We're going to be getting together back in June, and I'm looking forward to a wonderful upcoming summer season. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Administration.